I were a Jew, I'd be a Zionist. I am a Zionist. You don't have to be a Jew to be a Zionist.
So let me tell you a secret. Christian Zionism existed before Jewish Zionism. From the late 1500s, early 1600s, there's a group of Protestants that believe that the Jews, because of their ideology, are going to return to the Holy Lands before the second coming of their Messiah. There's a disagreement amongst them. Some say the Jews, when their Messiah comes, will convert. Others say they'll just be killed, and others have other opinions. But the Jewish Zionists got much of their ideology from the Christians, not vice versa. These Christian Zionists existed way before the Jewish ones. Theodor Herzl, got his international connections. He was introduced by a Christian Zionist named the Reverend William Heckler, Hechler. And he introduced him to the Grand Duke of Baden and many heads of state, because he believed that Herzl was a fulfillment of the Christian messianic prophecies. In fact, I got to tell you something. There are many things that people attribute to Jewish Zionists that are really originated with Christian Zionists. For example, the idea that the Jews should take over Israel, the Christian Zionists had way before the Jews. The idea that the Jews should speak Hebrew there, way before the Jews, the Christian Zionists said it. Herzl didn't believe that the Jews should speak Hebrew in a state once they create the state, because he didn't believe it was possible. And you know the Zionist slogan that is attributed, by the way, Abu Mazen attributed it to Herzl. That was a mistake. It was said by Israel Zangwill that a land without a people for people without a land. Israel Zangwill got that from the Christian Zionists, way before any Jew ever said it. And the reason why, one of the reasons why Britain, Lord Balfour, he was a Christian Zionist. The Protestants, look how it developed. The Catholics weren't involved in this. This was a certain Protestant movement. The British and the Americans, UK and US, they were more of a Protestant Christian country rather than a Catholic Christian country, right? The Pilgrims came from Britain. That's why Britain and the US have always been Israel's greatest allies, because of the 25% of US voters are evangelicals. And these are those Christians. But the Christian Zionists have been here way before the Jewish Zionists stole a lot of their ideology from the evangelicals in order to garner support from them. I think that Muslims, Christians, Buddhists, atheists, everybody should collaborate, first to educate themselves on the differences between and the incompatibility between Judaism and Zionism. And the main point is that Israel is the state of the Israelis, not the state of the Jews. It doesn't represent the Jewish people. And then, yes, collaboration for dissemination of truth to create peace in the world. And I must tell you, in my humble opinion, the best thing for the Jews in Israel would be if Israel would become the state of the Israelis. Israel needs to become a normal country like US, Canada, Mexico, whatever. All this conflict, all these problems begin with Israel claiming and desiring and falsely arrogating to themselves the title of the nation state of the Jewish people. It makes trouble for me too. Listen, when Netanyahu says that, Avigdor Lieberman, that Israel is to the Jews what France is to the French, he's not talking about Jews only in Israel. He's talking about to the Jews even, let's say, in France. So what he's saying, this is the official Zionist policy, that France is to the French non-Jews what Israel is to the French Jews. This is anti-Semitic. This is a saying that the country of the French non-Jews is France, and the country of the French Jews is Israel. That's a dual loyalty trope. Israel is the new Zionism is the new anti-Semitism. And honestly, what we should be doing, instead of framing the question the way the Zionists do, and this is part of the propaganda, because no matter how you answer it, the question itself presupposes something that's not true. At what point does criticism of Israel cross into anti-Semitism? Well, criticism of Israel never crosses into anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism it's like saying, at what point does criticism of an individual Jew cross in? What at what point does criticism of an individual Jew cross into anti-Semitism? The answer is when it stops being criticism of an individual Jew and starts being criticism of all the Jews as Jews, which is what anti-Semitism is. Criticizing Israel because it's Israel, as opposed to criticizing all the Jews as Jews, that's not anti-Semitic. What we should be asking instead is, at what point does Zionism cross into anti-Semitism? We should be discussing how Zionism is anti-Semitic, how Zionism claims my country is Israel against my will. If I don't like my country, I can move to Mexico, right? I have a right by international law to choose my nationality, but no matter where I move and where I go, because I'm born Jewish, Israel says they are my country, and they'll tell you Israel's my country. And if you're an American in Chicago, you look at me and you say, well, Israel, the Jewish state, says America is not Yaakov Shapiro's country. No, I don't want that. That's bad. Zionism is the new anti-Semitism, and we should be asking, we should be writing essays and articles. At what point does Zionism cross into anti-Semitism? Zionism, the new anti-Semitism. Because that's really the truth. And yes, we all should collaborate on this. Yeah, Again, this is true regardless of no matter whose side or how much somebody believes in one state, two state, three state. None of that matters. The Palestinians just get involved in got caught in the crossfire. The problem is, even if there would be no Palestinians, I would still be against Zionism. If the Palestinians would be happy, if there wouldn't be any conflict, I'm still against Zionism. Because Zionism says that I am not a regular American. Israel represents me. I don't want to be represented by Israel, and it's an attack on my religion, because my religion defines what a Jew is. They say my religion's definition is wrong, and instead, being a Jew is a political thing. I am an anti-Zionist because of that, and frankly, I think that is the root of the conflict. That's the root cause, rather. It's the root cause of the conflict, is the ideology of Zionism. And yes, the behavior, if somebody does something wrong, they should be held accountable, no question about it. But the root conflict, the reason for all this behavior, is Israel's claim to be the Jewish state. Because we're the Jewish state, therefore we have to ensure a majority of Jews. And because we have to ensure a majority of Jews, we have to do whatever. I say no. Israel's the state of the Israelis. Let it become Herzlstan. That's what I always say they should call themselves. Call yourself Herzlstan. Give up the name Israel. Find a new flag. Don't use a Jewish symbol. That Magen David is a Jewish symbol. Don't use a Jewish symbol. Have a picture of Herzl or something, whatever you want. Just leave the Jews alone. You have nothing to do with the Jews. That is step one in the peace process, if you ask me.